Good evening, everyone. Let me ask you a question. How many of you wake up in the middle of the night, heart racing, mind spinning, unable to fall back asleep? You're not alone. In fact, this isn't just insomnia, it's biology. What's happening isn't a lack of willpower or bad sleep hygiene. It's cortisol, the stress hormone, doing exactly what it's supposed to do, but at exactly the wrong time. Your body thinks it's under attack, even when you're safe in bed. Now, what if I told you that one simple tablespoon of a natural compound taken at the right time could calm cortisol, lower your nighttime stress response, and restore deep, restorative sleep? It sounds too good to be true, but the science behind it is very real. Tonight, we're going to uncover how your nighttime biology works, why cortisol is sabotaging your rest, and how one small dietary change could reset your sleep chemistry for good. Because when you understand the biochemistry, not just the behavior, that's when healing begins. Cortisol is one of the most misunderstood hormones in the body. Most people think of it simply as the stress hormone, but that's only half the story. Cortisol isn't your enemy. In fact, it's essential for life. Without cortisol, you wouldn't get out of bed in the morning, you wouldn't respond to danger, and you certainly wouldn't have the energy to function. The problem isn't cortisol itself, it's when and how much cortisol your body produces. And that timing, more than anything, determines whether you sleep soundly through the night or find yourself staring at the ceiling at 2:47 a.m., wondering why you're wide awake. Cortisol follows a very specific rhythm, what's called a diurnal pattern. Under normal conditions, cortisol is supposed to peak early in the morning, just before you wake up. That's your body's natural alarm clock, giving you a gentle nudge to rise and face the day. Then throughout the morning, it slowly declines, reaching its lowest point late at night, right around the time your body is ready to enter deep restorative sleep. When this rhythm is in balance, you feel alert during the day and peacefully drowsy at night. But when that rhythm is disrupted, everything from your metabolism to your mood starts to unravel. So why does this rhythm go wrong? The biggest culprit is chronic stress, but stress isn't just emotional. We tend to think stress comes only from bad bosses, unpaid bills, or traffic jams. Yet your body perceives many things as stress: a sugary diet, chronic inflammation, light exposure after sunset, alcohol before bed, scrolling through your phone in the dark. Each one tells your brain there's a threat, and your adrenal glands answer with cortisol. Over time, this pattern trains your body to secrete cortisol at the wrong times, especially at night, when it should be quiet and calm. When cortisol spikes during the night, it sends a biochemical signal that says, wake up. Your heart rate rises slightly, your liver releases glucose into the bloodstream, and your brain lights up as if morning has come early. This is why you might wake up suddenly, sometimes even hungry or anxious, without any obvious reason. You didn't have a nightmare. Your body simply thought it needed to fight or flee. This is a survival mechanism, but in our modern world, it's misfiring. There's another piece to this puzzle: blood sugar regulation. Cortisol's job is to make sure your brain always has enough fuel, namely glucose. If your blood sugar drops too low during the night, cortisol is dispatched to pull glucose out of your liver stores. This keeps you alive, but it also wakes you up. If you go to bed after a high carbohydrate meal, your blood sugar first spikes and then crashes hours later. That crash triggers cortisol, and suddenly you're awake at 3 a.m., staring at the ceiling fan. It's not insomnia, it's a biochemical rescue mission. Now add to that the effects of artificial light and late night screen time. Light exposure, even dim blue light from your phone, suppresses melatonin, your sleep hormone. Melatonin and cortisol have an inverse relationship. When one goes up, the other goes down. So when melatonin stays low because of light exposure, cortisol stays high, you're effectively telling your body it's still daytime long after the sun has gone down. This confusion between your natural circadian signals and your behavior is one of the most powerful disruptors of sleep in the modern age. Here's the part most people miss. Cortisol dysregulation doesn't just mess with your sleep. It also sets the stage for metabolic disease. Chronically high nighttime cortisol increases insulin resistance, promotes fat storage, especially visceral fat, and drives cravings for sugar and caffeine. The very things that perpetuate the cycle. You wake up tired, reach for coffee and carbs, spike your blood sugar, crash later, and repeat the pattern the next night. It's a self-reinforcing loop of hormonal chaos. Restoring normal cortisol rhythm means addressing both behavior and biology. This isn't just about stress management techniques, though they help. It's about retraining your body to know what time it is. That means avoiding bright screens after sunset, eating balanced dinners with protein and healthy fat to stabilize blood sugar, and giving your brain the darkness and quiet it needs to lower cortisol naturally. It also means recognizing that emotional stress, the kind we carry in our heads, is indistinguishable from physical stress to your adrenal glands. Your body doesn't know whether the threat is a tiger or an email from your boss. It reacts the same way. When you start to live in sync with your body's natural rhythms, cortisol returns to its proper place, high in the morning, low at night. And when that happens, something magical occurs. You stop waking up in the middle of the night. You fall asleep easily, stay asleep, and wake up refreshed, not because of a pill, but because your hormones are finally doing what they were designed to do. The takeaway is simple but profound. If you're always waking up at night, don't just blame stress, screens, or caffeine. Look deeper. Your cortisol rhythm has gone rogue, and restoring it is the key to unlocking deep, restorative sleep. Once you fix that, everything else, your energy, your mood, even your metabolism, begins to fall back into balance. Because sleep isn't just rest, it's your body's nightly repair process. And cortisol is either your greatest ally or your worst saboteur, depending entirely on the time of day. When we talk about sleep disruption, most people immediately think of stress, caffeine, or bad habits. But there's another hidden culprit that most overlook: your blood sugar. The truth is, the relationship between blood sugar and cortisol is not only intimate, it's inseparable. Your brain's number one priority, even more than happiness, productivity, or dreams, is to maintain a steady supply of glucose, and cortisol is the hormone that makes sure that happens, no matter the cost. Let's start with the basics. Your body runs on glucose. That's your brain's preferred fuel. Under normal conditions, you eat a meal, your blood sugar rises, insulin carries that sugar into your cells, and you get the energy you need to function. Then a few hours later, blood sugar drops, insulin declines, and you feel ready for your next meal. That's a natural rhythm. But when this rhythm is disrupted, when blood sugar spikes too high and crashes too low, your body activates an emergency backup system, cortisol. Cortisol's job in this context is simple but powerful: to raise blood sugar when it falls too low. When your blood sugar dips during the night, cortisol signals your liver to release stored glucose into the bloodstream. This keeps your brain fed, and it keeps you alive. But there's a cost. Cortisol is also a stimulant. It raises heart rate, alertness, and blood pressure. All the things you don't want at 3 a.m. That's why so many people find themselves suddenly wide awake in the middle of the night. Their blood sugar crashed, their body panicked, cortisol surged, and their sleep evaporated. The typical Western diet, high in refined carbohydrates and added sugars, makes this problem worse. If your dinner or late-night snack is heavy on pasta, bread, or dessert, your blood sugar spikes rapidly. Your pancreas pumps out insulin to shuttle that sugar into your cells, but often it overshoots. A few hours later, your blood sugar plummets, and your body perceives it as a crisis. It doesn't know you're just asleep, it thinks you're starving. So cortisol rushes in to save the day and ruins your night. This cycle, spike, crash, wake, is what I call metabolic insomnia. It's not about anxiety or bad luck. It's about biochemistry. And once you understand it, you realize that the solution isn't in a sleeping pill, it's in what you put on your plate. Let's take a closer look at the timing. Most people eat dinner around 7 or 8 p.m., maybe have a sweet treat before bed, and then go to sleep by 10 or 11, about 4 to 5 hours later, right around 2 or 3 a.m. That's when blood sugar hits its lowest point. That's also when cortisol is supposed to be quiet. But if your liver doesn't have enough glycogen stored because your diet is unbalanced or your insulin sensitivity is impaired, your brain will sound the alarm. Cortisol surges, glucose is released, and you're awake. Now, you might think, I don't eat that much sugar, but here's the problem. Refined carbohydrates like white bread, pasta, cereal, or even fruit juice act just like sugar once they hit your bloodstream. They raise insulin, destabilize blood sugar, and eventually lead to those middle-of-the-night wake-ups. The body doesn't distinguish between a cookie and a slice of white toast. Biochemically, it's all the same. There's another twist. Chronic stress itself raises cortisol, which in turn raises blood sugar. That's right. Even if you don't eat sugar, your own stress can make your body produce it. Cortisol tells your liver to convert stored glycogen or even amino acids from muscle into glucose, a process called gluconeogenesis. That extra sugar in your blood may help you handle stress in the short term, but over time, it promotes insulin resistance. And insulin resistance means your blood sugar stays higher for longer, forcing your pancreas to work overtime. Eventually, the system breaks down. You feel tired during the day, wired at night, and trapped in a cycle of hormonal confusion. This is why nighttime awakenings are not just a sleep problem, they're a metabolic warning sign. Your body is telling you something, that your glucose control is off, your cortisol rhythm is reversed, and your internal clock is confused. Most people try to fix the symptom insomnia without addressing the root cause, blood sugar instability, but until you stabilize your blood sugar, your cortisol will keep jumping in to rescue you and keep waking you up. So what can you do? The key is to support stable blood sugar throughout the night. That means eating balanced meals with protein, fat, and fiber, especially at dinner. These nutrients slow the release of glucose, preventing the spike crash cycle. A small nutrient-rich snack before bed, something like a tablespoon of raw honey or a mix of collagen and healthy fat, can provide the liver with a slow, steady trickle of glucose, keeping cortisol calm and your brain fueled through the night. And here's the most important point. You can't fix cortisol without fixing insulin. And you can't fix insulin without fixing your diet. They are two sides of the same coin. One controls your stress response, the other your energy balance. When both are aligned, you don't just sleep better, you heal better, think clearer, and age slower. In essence, those restless nights aren't random. They're your body's way of telling you that your blood sugar is on a roller coaster and cortisol is driving the car. The good news? You can step off. Now, let's talk about this so-called 1 tablespoon solution. Sounds gimmicky, doesn't it? Like one of those too good to be true internet claims. But here's the thing. It's not magic, it's metabolism. The idea that something as small as a tablespoon of the right nutrient can calm cortisol and restore sleep is absolutely grounded in biochemistry. The trick is understanding what your body actually needs during the night. Not what you crave, not what you think is comfort food, but what your physiology is quietly begging for at 2 a.m. You see, when you sleep, your body isn't idle. It's incredibly busy. Your brain is sorting memories, repairing neurons, cleaning out metabolic waste through the lymphatic system. Your liver is detoxifying, your muscles are rebuilding, and your hormones are recalibrating. All of this takes energy. That energy doesn't come from your dinner 6 hours earlier. It comes from a delicate dance between stored glycogen in your liver and a steady trickle of glucose to the brain. If that fuel supply drops too low, your body panics, and when your body panics, it calls on cortisol to raise blood sugar. Now remember, cortisol's job is to keep you alive, not to help you sleep. When cortisol rises, your heart rate increases, your alertness spikes, and your brain exits the deep, slow wave phase of sleep. So if you're waking up like clockwork every night, it's not because your mind is restless, it's because your body thinks it's in an energy crisis. The fix? Give your body what it needs before it goes into crisis. That's where the 1 tablespoon concept comes in. Let's start with something as simple as raw honey. 1 tablespoon of raw honey before bed provides a small, steady source of natural glucose. The fructose component, in particular, helps the liver store glycogen more effectively. Think of glycogen as your body's overnight battery pack. If that battery drains too quickly, cortisol flips on the emergency generator and you wake up. But if you top off the battery before sleep, you can keep your brain fueled all night long. Raw honey works because it's nature's slow-release carbohydrate, just enough to prevent that 3 a.m. cortisol surge without spiking your blood sugar too high before bed. Another option that works beautifully is coconut oil. 1 tablespoon of coconut oil contains medium-chain triglycerides, MCTs, which the liver can convert directly into ketones. These ketones serve as an alternative energy source for the brain during the night, stabilizing metabolism and reducing the need for a cortisol-mediated glucose dump. In other words, your brain stays powered, your liver stays calm, and your body stays asleep. This is particularly helpful for people who eat dinner early or follow low-carb diets where glycogen stores might already be depleted by bedtime. A third version of this 1 tablespoon trick involves glycine, an amino acid found in collagen or gelatin. Glycine is remarkable because it supports liver function, enhances sleep quality, and even lowers core body temperature, one of the key signals your body uses to fall and stay asleep. A tablespoon of collagen powder or a glycine supplement before bed can not only provide gentle nourishment for the liver, but also directly calm the nervous system. It acts on the NMDA receptors in the brain, promoting relaxation and counteracting the stimulating effects of cortisol. Each of these small bedtime nutrients works on the same principle: maintain stable energy supply, prevent cortisol activation, preserve deep sleep. This isn't folklore, it's biochemistry 101. Your brain can't rest if it thinks it's starving. The liver can't regenerate if it's running on fumes. And cortisol, faithful soldier that it is, will always step in to rescue you, even if that rescue means sabotaging your sleep. Now I can already hear the skeptics saying, wait, won't eating before bed make me gain weight? Here's the nuance: it depends what and how much you eat. We're not talking about a midnight snack of cookies or chips. We're talking about a single tablespoon of the right macronutrient, chosen strategically to balance nighttime metabolism. That's not excess, that's support. When cortisol stays quiet, insulin stays low, and your body can actually burn fat more efficiently overnight. In contrast, fragmented sleep from cortisol spikes promotes insulin resistance, weight gain, and cravings the next day. The 1 tablespoon solution also acts as a symbolic shift. It reminds us that small, intentional acts of nourishment can have profound physiological effects. You don't need another supplement, another pill, or a prescription sleep aid. You need to understand your own biology. When you give your body what it needs, the right kind of fuel at the right time, it rewards you with deep, natural, restorative sleep. So whether it's a spoonful of raw honey for glycogen support, coconut oil for stable ketones, or collagen for glycine balance, the principle remains the same. You're not sedating yourself, you're supporting your system. You're giving your liver and brain the tools they need to stay in sync through the night. And that's what real healing looks like, not suppression of symptoms, but restoration of rhythm. The irony is that modern life has made us fear what our ancestors intuitively understood. They didn't go to bed hungry, and they didn't rely on synthetic melatonin to sleep. They listened to their bodies, and their bodies responded in kind. Maybe all we need to do is the same, to offer our physiology 1 simple tablespoon of care and watch our nights transform. Because sometimes the smallest spoon can stir the deepest change. Deep sleep is not a luxury, it's a biological necessity. It's the stage of sleep where your brain performs its nightly maintenance, your cells repair, and your hormones reset. You can think of deep sleep as the metabolic reset button for your entire system. When you get enough of it, everything works better: memory, mood, immunity, and metabolism. But when cortisol interferes, that reset button doesn't get pressed, and your body carries today's stress into tomorrow. Night after night, this compounds into exhaustion, brain fog, and metabolic dysfunction. The good news is that restoring deep sleep doesn't require a pill. It requires restoring your biology's natural rhythm, and that rhythm is governed by one central player: the balance between cortisol and melatonin. When one rises, the other falls. That's how nature designed it. Cortisol wakes you up, melatonin puts you to sleep. Simple, elegant, and reliable, until modern life disrupts it. So how do you restore that balance? First, you have to understand that deep sleep happens only when cortisol is low enough for melatonin to do its job. Melatonin isn't a sedative. It's a signal. It tells your body, night has fallen, it's time to recover. But if cortisol is still coursing through your bloodstream because you've been scrolling your phone, watching the news, or stressing about work, melatonin doesn't stand a chance. Your body may lie down, but your mind stays in fight or flight mode. Deep sleep begins with darkness, literal, physical darkness. Your retina sends light information directly to your hypothalamus, which controls both your circadian clock and your cortisol rhythm. The brighter your evenings, the more confused that clock becomes. You can't expect melatonin to rise in a living room lit like a convenience store. The solution? Dim the lights 2 hours before bed. Block blue light from screens. Let your brain sense that the day is ending. You're not just setting the mood, you're sending a biochemical message to your adrenal glands. Stand down, it's time to rest. Then there's the role of temperature. Your core body temperature must drop by about 2 degrees Fahrenheit to enter deep sleep. Cortisol, however, raises body temperature slightly. This is one reason people who are stressed often feel hot or restless at night. A cool, dark bedroom isn't just about comfort, it's about biochemistry. Lowering your sleep environment temperature signals your nervous system to transition out of the alert state and into the parasympathetic rest and repair state. But here's the key. Deep sleep doesn't just happen because you remove stressors. It happens because your body feels safe. That's the paradox. Sleep is the most vulnerable thing we do. Evolutionarily, you only slept deeply when your surroundings were secure. That's why your mind races when you're anxious. Your body interprets that anxiety as a threat, and cortisol rises to keep you alert. To restore deep sleep, you must convince your body that it's safe again. That means cultivating calm before bed, not numbing yourself with alcohol or medication, but retraining your nervous system. One of the most effective ways to do this is through parasympathetic activation, gentle, intentional actions that lower cortisol naturally. Slow breathing, gratitude reflection, even light stretching before bed can shift your nervous system into a state of safety. This isn't woo-woo, it's neuroscience. Deep, diaphragmatic breathing lowers blood pressure, slows the heart rate, and tells your brain that danger has passed. That message ripples down the hormonal chain, reducing cortisol production and making space for melatonin to rise. Nutrition plays a role too. Deep sleep depends on a steady supply of amino acids and micronutrients that support neurotransmitter balance. Magnesium, glycine, and tryptophan all help relax the nervous system and support serotonin-melatonin conversion. When your diet is nutrient poor or overloaded with sugar and processed fats, your sleep chemistry suffers. Your body can't synthesize the compounds it needs to turn off the alert signal. Restoring deep sleep means feeding the body with foods that promote calm, leafy greens, clean protein, healthy fats, and complex carbs timed properly. And don't underestimate the effect of consistency. Your circadian rhythm is like an orchestra. It needs a conductor. When you go to bed, and wake up at different times every day, that orchestra falls out of sync. The result is hormonal chaos. Cortisol rises at the wrong times, melatonin misses its cue, and your sleep cycles fragment. By keeping regular sleep and wake times, even on weekends, you train your cortisol rhythm back into harmony. Over time, your body starts lowering cortisol automatically in the evening, allowing deep sleep to return without effort. The beauty of restoring deep sleep naturally is that it heals more than your nights. Once your cortisol rhythm resets, your metabolism follows, insulin sensitivity improves, inflammation drops, appetite normalizes, the brain clears out amyloid plaques, reducing long-term risk for neurodegenerative diseases. Your emotional resilience returns because your prefrontal cortex, the rational part of your brain, finally gets the downtime it needs to reset. In other words, deep sleep is not just about feeling rested, it's about restoring your humanity. Chronic stress, relentless stimulation, and artificial light have turned us into creatures perpetually stuck in day mode. To truly heal, we have to honor the night. So yes, you can restore deep sleep naturally, but it doesn't come from a supplement bottle. It comes from realigning with nature's cues. Dim the lights, quiet the mind, nourish the body, and give your cortisol permission to rest. When that happens, deep sleep isn't something you chase. It's something your biology delivers effortlessly, because that's what it's built to do. And when you wake up after a night of true deep sleep, you'll understand the greatest medicine isn't found in a pharmacy. It's found in the quiet rhythm of a body, finally at peace. In medicine today, we've become obsessed with treating symptoms rather than solving problems. You can't sleep? Here's a pill. You're anxious? Here's another one. Your blood pressure's up? We'll add a third. This is what I call whack-a-mole medicine, chasing the downstream effects of a broken system without ever addressing what broke it in the first place. The truth is, you can't medicate your way out of a problem that your biology never asked for in the first place. When it comes to sleep, cortisol, and nighttime awakenings, the real solution lies in addressing the root cause. Cortisol is not the enemy. It's the messenger. It's your body's built-in alarm system warning you that something is off. When you wake up at 3 a.m. and can't go back to sleep, that's not insomnia, that's communication. Your body is saying, I'm out of balance. Maybe your blood sugar dropped, maybe your liver's overworked, maybe your stress response has been on high alert all day and never got the signal to stand down. Whatever the reason, the problem isn't your lack of Ambien, it's your lack of alignment. The root cause approach begins by asking the right question: why is cortisol high in the first place? Is it mental stress, nutritional stress, circadian stress? These are all forms of the same underlying dysfunction, a body stuck in a chronic state of alert. Modern life keeps us perpetually in fight or flight mode. We eat fast, work late, scroll endlessly, and rarely slow down enough for our physiology to recover. The adrenal glands don't know the difference between a predator and a push notification. They respond the same way. The result is elevated cortisol, impaired sleep, and eventually metabolic collapse. So what does addressing the root cause look like in practice? First, it means shifting the focus from suppression to support. Most of what we do in conventional medicine is suppression. We block the symptom. But biology doesn't like to be silenced. You can't just turn off cortisol with a drug or force sleep with a sedative. Those interventions may work for a night or two, but they never restore rhythm. And rhythm is everything. Your body runs on cycles: circadian, ultradian, hormonal, and when those cycles fall apart, you fall apart with them. Supporting the system starts with restoring that rhythm. That means aligning with the natural cues your biology evolved for: light, food, and rest at predictable intervals. Eat when the sun is up, sleep when it's down. Expose your eyes to morning sunlight to anchor your circadian rhythm. Avoid screens after dark to allow melatonin to rise naturally. These aren't trendy biohacks. They're ancient biological truths that we've ignored in favor of convenience. Next, we have to talk about food. Because, make no mistake, food is information. Every bite you take tells your hormones how to behave. Processed carbohydrates, refined sugar, and industrial seed oils send the wrong message. They keep insulin high, which keeps cortisol high, which keeps you awake. Real food, fiber, healthy fat, and protein sends the opposite message: safety, stability, satiety. When your body feels nourished, it doesn't have to raise cortisol to scavenge energy in the middle of the night. Your biochemistry relaxes. Then comes stress hygiene. Just like we talk about sleep hygiene, we need to cultivate habits that release stress, not just distract from it. Chronic stress is not about how much you have on your plate. It's about how much recovery time you build into your day. Your nervous system needs downtime to reset. That might mean taking 5 minutes to breathe between meetings, walking outside without your phone, or ending your day with gratitude instead of worry. These small acts tell your body the threat is over. Cortisol can drop now. We also have to remember that every system in the body talks to every other system. You can't fix your sleep without addressing your liver function, your gut health, or your insulin sensitivity. They're all part of the same feedback loop. The root cause approach recognizes that everything is connected. If your gut microbiome is inflamed, it can increase cortisol. If your insulin is dysregulated, it can trigger cortisol. If your sleep is fragmented, it raises